Hey guys, what is going on? My name is Brian and today we're going to be back with yet another amazing video for my friends out in Portugal. Been a while, several of you guys have been requesting more content, so here we go. So welcome back to American Reacts to Geography Now, Portugal. I've been having so many of my friends recently travel to Portugal and they've been showing me all these beautiful photos and actually told me about a library that apparently may or may have not inspired J.K. Rowling to make like the whole design for the Harry Potter series. So that was pretty cool. But recently several of you guys have taken to Instagram to send me an amazing video by the amazing channel of Geography Now because apparently they released an episode out on you guys. So if you'd like to see the original, make sure you check it out down below in the description box next to some of my social media pages where you can also reach me. So let's go right ahead and we're gonna dive right into this one.
Some countries try to fight the ocean. Others are afraid of the ocean. Portugal practically wants to live in the ocean. If they had gills, they'd sell their land and build an Atlantis. Welcome to the powerful little sailor of Europe.
Such a cute description of Portugal and it's so accurate.
Portugal is sometimes called the door to Europe. It's the start to the mainland. The Portuguese are ocean
Never
people.
thought about
They
that.
need to be close to the sea. They get uncomfortable without it. With that in mind, their country is pretty ideal for them location-wise.
Portugal, the rectangle-shaped country, is located at the very end of the Iberian Peninsula, surrounded by Spain on all three sides, as well as two island regions in the Atlantic.
I never even noticed it was a peninsula.
Europe, Cabo de Roca, and the westernmost point of Europe's domain, the island of Santa Cruz das Flores. Important note, Portugal has one of the oldest borders in Europe and one of the oldest in the world, very much thanks to this treaty signed between these two kings back in 1297. The Spanish and Portuguese have always usually had amicable relations
Long
in regards
history.
to their states. The only kind of dispute they have is over the town of Olivença. This is not an official dispute, but most Portuguese believe that it kind of probably should be theirs because of history or something. Look it up. For what it's worth though, there's even a spot where you can zipline across this river from Portugal into Spain and travel forward 1 hour in time because for some reason Portugal decided to follow the UTC +1 zone instead of +2 like
But wait,
Spain,
they're like on the
meaning that
same...
even though Galicia is on the same longitude, they are 1 hour ahead. Anyway, the
Are you
country is divided
kidding
into
me?
18 districts and 2 autonomous
That's
regions,
funny,
the
man.
Açores and Madeira Islands. These 2 island regions give a huge boost to Portugal's exclusive economic zone by over 1.7 million square kilometers, making it the 3rd largest EEZ in the EU and the 20th in the world.
Portugal.
The capital is Lisbon, and of course it holds the largest airport, Lisbon International, as well as the largest shipping port, the Port of Lisbon. The 2nd largest city is actually Sintra, followed by Vila Nova de Gaia. However, Porto actually holds the 2nd busiest airport, and Faro in the south rounds out for 3rd place for airports as well. Remember, even though these little uninhabited guys known as the Savage Islands are closer to the Canary Islands of Spain, they actually belong to Portugal and make up the southernmost part of Portugal's domain. One of which right here, Pontina, is actually a self-proclaimed micronation purchased by some art teacher dude who bought it and then later claimed independence from Portugal in 2007.
Oh my god, that guy's a bloody legend.
Cape Verde are part of
I
the
feel
larger
I would
oceanic
love to
region
do
known as
something like that.
Macaronesia, not to be confused with Micronesia, which is halfway across the world.
Yeah, that micronation island thing. That's a weird one. Look it up. They kind of have all they need in that small space as long as they have the largest portion of the Atlantic coast on the Iberian Peninsula. This is kind of what allowed them to become the front runners in the age of discovery and European expedition years. And we didn't even get to talk about all the cool stuff like the cave beach,
Amen to that.
or this tidal pool, or that place where the largest wave ever was surfed by that dude.
I would love to go to that
Portugal.
cave, man.
Yes, it was. Look it up. In the meantime, you know the deal. I take my triple shot of espresso break, which means Noah comes in to fill in for the rest of this segment.
Did somebody say Keith?
No. I believe he said
Noah.
For one, they are masters of making anything out of trees, as over a third of the country is forested mostly with oaks, pines, and eucalyptus. Such Portuguese companies like the Navigator Company are world-renowned for paper products. And Amorium is the world's largest cork producer, in Portugal being #1 in cork production in general. You will see tons of stuff from Portugal made of cork. Cork purses, cork shoes, cork notebooks, cork everything. And they love their wine, with
I guess
cork,
they're
rosé, green, and Madeira
pretty
wines
quirky.
being some of the most popular types. Portugal is home to many animal species as well. In the continental side, you will find mammals like wild pigs, wild goats, hares, foxes. The unofficial national animal, though, or at least a common national symbol, would technically be the legendary mythical Barcelos rooster. They're Europe's top seafood consumer per capita and usually in the top 4 worldwide. And of course,
wow,
brings us to
man.
the final
That's pretty
segment. Food! Some top notable dishes you guys, the Portuguese geography suggests we mentioned include things like the most iconic national soup, caldo verde. These 2 sandwiches are probably the most popular ones. Pastéis de nata. And finally with seafood, they have everything from cuttlefish, crabs, shrimp,
No.
Spiny lobster, barnacles, mackerel, lamprey, sea bass, clams, oysters, periwinkles, scallops, sardines.
Dude, the Portuguese make the best octopus I ever had in my life.
Fun fact, the Portuguese actually
I don't like
introduced
octopus.
samosas
I don't
to
like
India,
seafood,
Peru, and
period.
Japan, and England probably wouldn't have tea if the Portuguese hadn't traded with China. And of course, the most
I'll have to
popular
stick to
dish
my
in Portugal,
McDonald's while
often
I'm
seen
there.
as a national dish, bacalhau, which is salted cod, deliberately preserved and soaked before cooking.
God.
Interestingly enough, cod isn't even commonly caught off their coast, so they have to resort to importing it usually from the North Sea. Their national dish isn't even really found naturally in their own country. But what does
Really?
occur
That's
naturally
so
in
ironic,
Portugal
dude.
are the Portuguese people. Let's meet them, shall we?
The country has about 10.5 million
Not
people,
sure if you guys
and they
heard
are
that.
one of the top aging populations in the world and has the highest emigration rate in the EU. The exact numbers are not always completely reliable, but many sources on average report that somewhere around 90 to 95% of the population identifies as Portuguese, but that term
That's
is very
pretty
broad
accurate.
as there are many different types of Portuguese people that look totally different from the others. Some of them are blonde hair and blue-eyed, and some are tan and olive and brunette. Either way, Portuguese. The remainder of the 5 to 10% of the population comes from all over the world, mostly Europe and former colonial states like Brazil, Angola, and Mozambique, and even a small Asian
Really?
minority as well, mostly Macau Chinese,
Brazil?
and India from Goa and Dammam and Diu.
They use the euro as their currency, they use the Type C and F plug outlets, and they drive on the right side of the road. Now, of course,
Thanks
in
for that
Portugal, the official
information,
language is
Barbie. Appreciate
Portuguese, a Latin-based Romance language. It's actually related to the Galician language in North Spain, and usually the two can pretty much understand each other. And weirdly enough, Galicians and North Portuguese people have Celtic roots. Portugal also
I did not
technically
know
has
that.
a
That's
second
pretty
regionally
actually
official language,
badass.
Mirandese, which is only spoken by about 15,000 people in 2 municipalities of the northeast region.
You know, I actually
Otherwise,
understand
just being
a
straight
decent
up,
amount of
Is
Portuguese.
the most difficult Latin language for me personally. But after spending some time in Portugal, I figured out a shortcut if you want to learn how to speak
Oh my
Portuguese.
God.
Here's how you do it.
You're
Step
gonna
1,
roast them.
be Russian. Step 2, get drunk. Step 3, try to speak Spanish. Meu nome é Paulo, eu gosto de pastiche de pilão. Calm down, this was a joke. Geography Now does not endorse underage drinking or alcoholism. The Portuguese, as mentioned, have a lot of ocean history and Catholic
That's pretty
roots.
accurate,
About
though.
81% of the
I feel
country
bad
identifying
saying
to
it.
varying degrees of devotion as Roman Catholic. Portuguese culture comes in many fascinating, vibrant forms of tradition and custom.
does
And with
indeed.
that, here's Random Hannah to explain.
Portugal today is a very distinct nation, but if you dig close, you can see the layers of influence from groups like Phoenician, the Celtic, Germanic, Visigoth, Viking, Sephardic, Jewish, and Moorish people. Yeah, even Vikings.
And don't you forget it.
Of course, as intrepid maritime folk, the Portuguese were the first to invent galleon ships
That's
that
actually
launched
pretty
off
accurate.
the age of discovery for Europe, post-Viking era. With that, they also created the first forms of Western-style nautical cartography and navigation. It would later be taught and used across the continent. One guy even tried to pioneer one of the first airship designs. Although
No
Portugal may not be
way.
well known for their painters or graphic arts, I mean, this dude went crazy and burned every single one of his paintings except one. They definitely have a tradition of three-dimensional expression that dates back
But I bet
centuries.
it sold for a
Distinct
lot.
Portugal styles include things like Manueline architecture of the 16th century, and even today, people like Bordalo II continue the tradition of three-dimensional art. Fun fact, you can
Ooh.
probably guess a home is Portuguese if the exterior walls have tiles on them, and often blue pattern tiles. They have their own unique Portuguese
I thought that was
where
a
you have to
Japanese
knock off a
thing.
pin with metal discs in varying weights and sizes. Nonetheless, no shocker,
That's so
soccer
cool.
or football is the most popular sport, with their oldest club dating back to 1893 in Porto. Their national team has consistently ranked high in FIFA standings. We all know Ronaldo is the most mainstream, noteworthy face
Yeah.
of Portuguese football today. I mean, the guy has multiple statues of him.
Oh my
The
God, that's
legendary
savage.
Eusebio is
Savage
considered one
statue.
of the greatest football icons of all time and the symbol of the nation's sport. Festivals, of course, adorn the entire nation from north to south, many rooted in Catholic tradition. June is a huge month where the Festival of the Three Saints take place all over the country, honoring St. Anthony, John, and Peter, where there's a lot of wine and sardines with fireworks. There's also many unique regional festivals like the Festa de Coco, in which they do fun dragon slaying performances. There's the Lazarine Carnival,
wow,
one of the
that's
only
really
places
cute.
where Celtic rituals can be seen. Anyways, the festivities are usually filled with music, which I guess means we're moving on to Keith's segment.
Oh my God, that's so cool. I would love to go to like that
Starting as early as
Celtic
Gregorian
traditional
chants in the medieval
event.
ages, evolving into the classical era, and eventually winning Eurovision. Portugal has had lots of musical accolades. And there's a certain word that kind of describes the overall feeling of Portugueseness when it comes to music. Saudade.
Saudade.
Translates to something like a sense of melancholy and longing, as if something were missing. This type of mindset is one of the key elements that inspired the most famous of all Portuguese musical genres, fado. It's even listed as a UNESCO heritage trait. The most recognizable name
I actually
of fado
heard
would be
something about
Amalia
fado.
Rodriguez. Listen to it and see what you think. Portuguese have their own version of guitars, drums, accordions, even bagpipes. The ukulele from Hawaii was actually introduced from the Portuguese migrants.
That's
mostly
incredible,
from the
man.
Azores and Madeira Islands, where my ancestors are actually from. Fun fact. Today, the
Hey.
Portuguese music scene has everything from mainstream hip-hop, rock pop, metal, Moonspell being one of the more popular metal bands from Portugal. One time I saw Moonspell at, I think it was Ozfest. I don't remember. Moonspell's awesome.
And thank you, Keith. Well, as you can see by now, with their bold, exploring roots, Portugal has definitely left its mark on the world. And with that, we move on to see how the mark has impacted their relationships to others around the world. Yeah, Portugal is kind of like the smallest nation that left the biggest legacy. Over 30 times more people than the population of Portugal across the world speak Portuguese than in Portugal.
For one, they have the longest official alliance between two countries on Earth with the UK. Forged in 1373, they have been working alongside the British for a long time and have developed numerous bilateral policies and trade deals. Long story short, the Portuguese introduced tea to the British, and the British helped them get cod. For France, Portugal is kind of like the lean Latin boy next door who keeps trying to flirt with France, even though she's kind of dating Germany. There are more Portuguese people living abroad in France than any other nation at about 2 million. The Portuguese love the French. They enjoy the laissez-faire culture and charm and have integrated very well into French society. The Portuguese were the first Europeans to have encountered the Japanese, and much of the historical interaction reverberates to this day culturally. I mean, they founded the port city of Nagasaki, and even the word arigato is derived from the Portuguese word obrigado. Even when Japan was isolated, they traded for centuries only with the Portuguese. Even though things got messy in the 60s and 70s, they still have close ties to their former colonies, especially Brazil, Angola, and to some extent Mozambique. Many of these people have recently moved in on separate migration waves, and today you can see many of them in major cities like Lisbon and Porto. Billions of dollars are traded with Angola annually, and Portugal even canceled Mozambique's remaining debts from independence to 2005 at nearly $400 million. Brazil is their biggest legacy. It's like the sun, they fed steroids and became a massive giant bodybuilder. Today, the Brazilian dialect of Portuguese is more widely taught and distributed in media than actual Portuguese, and even after independence, the two have shared a privileged family bond that will always have high favor towards the other. For what it's worth though, when it comes to their best friend, most Portuguese might begrudgingly hate to admit it, but they kind of, at the end of the day, will always walk side by side with their oldest friend, Spain. Portugal was actually the first nation that fully emerged out of the Iberian Peninsula back when Spain was a bunch of disjointed kingdoms. Since then, they've been rivals and adversaries. During colonial years, they competed to see who could take over the Americas better. They've had centuries of conflict and treaties, alliances, unions, arguments, but in the end, they just have that Iberian culture and Latin root that ties them in so closely as brothers.
In conclusion, stay tuned. Gunther is coming up next.
That was absolutely incredible. Thank you once again, Barbie, for such an incredible episode. Once again, you can find the original link down below next to my social media pages. But guys, what can I say besides the fact that Portugal has definitely made a huge stamp on the world. I think the name that he gave you guys was like the Little Explorers, and I think that's absolutely incredible because it makes so much sense. You guys have made such a large impact, like when it comes to like the whole traveling industry. Like once again, you guys even tried to design like the first flying boat. Like what the heck? I wonder if you guys were trying to get out for a reason. What I didn't know but should have expected is how big you guys are with like the whole seafood thing. I did not expect that for some odd freaking reason, even though it's right in front of me. I'm not the biggest fan of seafood, so I'm very glad that I saw this. It kind of gave me a friendly reminder that I should either A, start eating more seafood, because ironically enough, I live in South Florida, or B, stick to my chicken nuggets while I'm there.
I don't have enough money for chicken nugget.
So many things about this video just caught my attention, including the fact that you guys have such beautiful scenery. Like once again, I know that in this video we only saw a small portion of it, but that's perfectly fine because I've seen other beautiful photos of Portugal. Some things that absolutely blew my mind was that you guys are so big with like the whole corks? Yes, corks. Sound effect.
Corks.
I think it's pretty cool that you guys embrace that so much that you made purse, designer shoes, and all sorts of other craziness with it. Like, I could personally see myself grabbing something like that to bring back as a souvenir. And then not to mention the freaking time zone, like, with Spain. Yeah, that's pretty confusing. But anyways, what did you guys love the most about this episode? What was something that you learned or something that they did not mention? Make sure you leave a comment down below and I will be reading through them. Don't forget, we also have a P.O. box here. So I know I haven't heard too much about my Portuguese viewers, but hey guys, if you would like to send something like a postcard, a handwritten letter, or even some sort of snacks, just do so right over here and let me know on Instagram. I would love to personally thank you. If If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button to show your support or check out my Patreon page. You could get some pretty awesome perks while you're there. Make sure you stick around. We got more amazing videos at the end of this one, including the Portuguese Eurovision episode if you have not seen it. So until next time, my friends, hasta la pasta, and I'll be seeing you guys on the flip side. Bye.